Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys Cut Candidate named potential steal of 2024 offseason. The Dallas Cowboys are going to make significant changes in the 2024 offseason, but they may need to be wary of how much they trim. While wide receiver Brandon Cooks didn't have a monstrous first season in Dallas, he is still being valued highly. In a February 5 article, Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox addressed potential steals of the 2024 offseason. Cooks is listed as one of those bargains, with the Carolina Panthers and Tennessee Titans being named as prospective landing spots. Cooks was a fine complement to CeeDee Lamb in 2023, finishing with 54 catches for 657 yards and 8 touchdowns. However, he's set to carry a $10 million cap hit, and Dallas is projected to be $14.3 million over the cap, Knox wrote. Releasing or trading Cooks with a post-June 1 designation would save the Cowboys $8 million in 2024 cap space. He'd be a fit for just about any team that has a lack of established receiver depth, but his veteran leadership could make him most attractive to rebuilding franchises. It could be a case of the grass being greener for Dallas. Yes, Cooks is likely going to cost a bit more than projections call for. But he is still clearly solid, albeit it may need to be as a third option rather than a number 2. Cooks' first year in Dallas. The Cowboys moved for Cooks at a crossroad in his career in 2023. He was approaching his 30th birthday and had crossed the 1,000-yard receiving mark as recently as 2021. They were trying to raise the floor of their receiver group, with the hope that Cooks could hit those marks again. He did not. As Pro Football Reference shows, Cooks caught 54 passes for 657 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. That may not seem impressive, but averaging 12.2 yards per catch and making grabs 66.7% of the time is still solid. Further, he developed a red zone connection with QB Dak Prescott. He finished second on the team for receiving touchdowns. And it wasn't inflated by singular games, all 8 scores game in separate contests. Cooks is consistent, although he may not be as explosive as he once was. Trading or releasing him may be the smartest financial decision. But he shouldn't be released based on his performances or skills. Cowboys could hire Super Bowl champion to replace Dan Quin. The Dallas Cowboys look towards a familiar name to replace Dan Quin as defensive coordinator. The Cowboys are due to interview former Minnesota Vikings head coach and a former assistant coach of theirs in Mike Zimmer, according to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. The Cowboys are interviewing former Vikings coach Mike Zimmer today for their defensive coordinator job, per source, writes Pelissero on Tuesday, February 6. Mike Zimmer previously coached Cowboys defense for 7 seasons. The 67-year-old is best known for his recent long head coaching tenure with the Vikings, spending 8 seasons as the lead man on the sidelines between 2014 and 2021. During his 8 seasons in Minnesota, Zimmer led the Vikings to the playoffs 3 times, including an NFC Championship game appearance during the 2017 season. The Vikings never finished with less than 7 wins in a single season during Zimmer's tenure in Minnesota, and he compiled a 7-2-5-6-1 record, .562, during his time with the Vikings. Minnesota compiled the 10th best record in the league between 2014 and 2021. Outside of his recent stint with the Vikings, Zimmer also spent the 2022 season as an analyst consultant for Deion Sanders' former college football team, Jackson State. The connection is notable because Sanders won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys at the conclusion of the 1995 season while Zimmer was the defensive backs coach. Zimmer's tenure with the Cowboys as an assistant was also a long one. He coached for 13 years from 1994 until 2006, serving as the defensive coordinator for his final 7 seasons. The Cowboys are seeking to replace Quin, who had served as defensive coordinator since the 2021 season and recently accepted the Washington Commanders' head coaching job. Dallas ranked in the top 7 in points allowed in each of the past 3 seasons, including leading the league in turnovers forced during the 2021 and 2022 seasons. Dallas is also due to interview former Commanders head coach Ron Rivera, as noted by Michael David Smith of NBC Sports. Dan Quin replaced Ron Rivera as head coach of the Commanders, wrote David Smith on Monday, February 5. Rivera may replace Quin as defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Rivera is one of 3 candidates who will interview for Cowboys defensive coordinator in the next 2 days. Jerry Jones not concerned about Cowboys' new defensive coordinator. Team owner Jerry Jones isn't concerned as the Cowboys seek a new defensive coordinator. While addressing Quin's departure to their NFC East rivals, Jones dismissed the idea of hiring a new defensive coordinator as being an issue. "I don't anticipate that being an issue at all," Jones said on Sunday, via the team website. "If they take the job, they will be coordinator of the Cowboys. They would be looking at that right there and all that goes with that. If they're aspiring, they know there's a chance to be a head coach someplace, because the one that just left is." While the idea of hiring a new defensive coordinator this late in the hiring cycle can be considered a daunting one, it's worth noting that Dallas has one of the most star-studded defensive lineups in the league. The Cowboys feature Pro Bowlers such as Micah Parsons, Darren Bland and Trevon Diggs. It also helps that Dallas is targeting proven coaches as defensive coordinators such as Zimmer and Rivera. Cowboys Potem Addicionar, short yardage bruiser, due NFC rival. The Dallas Cowboys are a potential landing spot for one of the NFL's best short yardage backs. As Pro Football Focus's Brad Spielberger writes, the Cowboys are a potential destination for Green Bay Packers running back A.J. Dillon. As Spielberger mentions, Dallas is in desperate need of a short yardage, goal line back since they released Ezekiel Elliott last offseason. Dillon brings a unique profile as a short yardage bruiser who is not going to break off too many explosive gains, but that is exactly what Dallas was missing last season in the low red zone, writes Spielberger. Dillon grades very well in PFF's system because he has a high success rate, rarely getting stuffed in the backfield for negative gains or unsuccessful plays. Yet, his longest rush is just 40 yards over 612 carries in 4 seasons. A.J. Dillon has helped form one of NFL's top rushing duos. Dillon has starred as part of the Packers' dual-threat rushing attack over the past 3 seasons, alongside Aaron Jones. Despite Jones being the starting back, Dillon has started a combined 11 games over the past 3 seasons. Dillon has carried the ball at least 178 times for at least 613 rushing yards in each of the past 3 seasons. It is true that Dillon's efficiency declined drastically during the 2023 season. He ran for just 3.4 yards per carry, one of the worst rushing averages among the top 48 rushing leaders. But it was only a season prior that he ran for 4.1 yards per carry with 7 rushing touchdowns. Furthermore, Dillon's rushing success rate during the 2022 season, a successful rush gains at least 40% of yards required on first down, 60% of yards required on second down and 100% on third or fourth down, was 56.5%, the 9th highest mark in the league and the 5th highest among all running backs. Cowboys' rushing attack with Tony Pollard was stagnant in 2023 while the Cowboys' rushing attack remained respectable with former backup, Tony Pollard, taking over as the lead back. They were not nearly as dynamic in the red zone as they were during the previous season. Dallas ranked 14th in rushing yards, 15th in touchdowns and 20th in yards per attempt during the 2023 season. By comparison, the Cowboys ranked 9th in rushing yards and 2nd in rushing touchdowns during the 2022 season with the Pollard-Elliott duo. Furthermore, Pollard posted 9 rushing touchdowns and 3 receiving touchdowns on 232 total touches during the 2022 season, ranking in the top 10 in both rushing and receiving touchdowns. In other words, Pollard posted a touchdown for every 19.3 touches. However, he posted just 6 total touchdowns on 307 total touches during the 2023 season, a touchdown for every 51.1 touches. To top it all off, the Cowboys declined from having the top-ranked red zone attack during the 2022 season to the 12th best red zone offense during the 2023 season. According to Spotrac's projections, Dillon's market value is just $3.6 million for 1 year. The Cowboys could either re-sign Pollard or draft another running back for a cheap deal in the 2024 NFL Draft to pair alongside Dillon. By doing so, Dallas would go back to a running back duo strategy that has been successful for them in recent seasons rather than relying on one back to carry the backfield.